Hi everybody, welcome back. I am Danielle, better known as Danielle Hat Media in the Industry. And if you're coming across this video for the first time, maybe come along, join us here on my channel where we discuss all things mediumship development, spiritual insights, and anything related to your development. So if that's something that you're interested in, come over, subscribe, check out the channel. For those who are already subscribed, thank you very much for waiting for me. I had to take a small break on Tuesday due to some things I need to attend to. But I'm back, as I said, today to talk to you about guides. And it's one of the questions I get asked all the time, not just by my students, by the general public, about from everybody, because everybody's trying to understand what them guides are, what they're doing. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my team. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I do with my team. I'm going to talk to you about some of the things guides do and don't do, and all of them things that apply to guides. So if you've got yourself a cup of tea, you're going to sit by, let's get into it. Guides. What are that? That's probably the biggest question I think that we'll want to start with. What are spiritual guides? The misconception in the industry is that your loved ones cannot be guides. Now, as many may know or not know, for many years, my nana worked in my team. She doesn't work on my team as much now, but she, in the very early days of my development, she very much did. So I always want to say that because a lot of people ask me that question, and I sort of want to bring that one right to the forefront. So guides are people who have been assigned to us by the spirit world to help with the growth of us on a mediumship development basis, not for human consumption. So what I mean by this is that they are there to help you understand your mediumship development. They are there to help you understand what the communicator is giving you. They're there to help you understand giving communications off, or if you're not doing communication, doing healing, help you to understand that energy more so that it can be transferred from the spirit world to the human world. They are there for the mediumship parameters. That's all that guides are designed for. Guides have been misconstrued as being psychic. They've been heard that they can sort of foretell the future, all of these types of things, which unfortunately just isn't true. There's a lot of sort of information out there that is really needing to be debunked in this area. And guides are very much individuals who have chosen within the spirit world to support individuals who are mediums, who are working for the spirit world to basically move forward in their development. As many of you may or not know, I do my development a lot differently to, not differently, everybody's just different in my perspective. Build a foundation in the spirit world, but put guides on top of that. Then we put the development in. We don't do the development, then the spirit world, then the guides, because that's just a mixed match basically, and it's never going to work for you in the long term. Guides are an important part of your development. A lot of people say differently. I appreciate all that everybody has to say, but for me, I've been working with my guides for going on nearly 12 years, being in mediumship development now for 10, was learning before that for about 2 years. And then obviously from that, my team has evolved and grown. Do you have the same guide from birth? That's another question I hear. No. No. I think again that's a very misconception, thought-based matter that is being put out there, over the years, and it's actually not true. When we link to the spirit world, or when we first start doing development, guides will be available to you as the progression of where you are at that time. And what will happen is that guide will help to develop you, support you, guide you through the trials and tribulations of your mediumship development. As time goes on, you may find that new guides will approach. Now, a lot of people say, well, why are the Native Americans? Why are the nuns? Why are the monks? Why are the Chinese? Why aren't they just normal people? Guides come in a massive range. So it depends on where your mind is. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I do tell stories sometimes from time to time. So when I first started doing mediumship, I always said I didn't want no Native American. I didn't want, all them things, because that's what everybody in the industry said, oh, don't have one of them. You shouldn't have one of them people. So I was like, oh, I don't want one of them, And guess what? That's exactly what I got. Because what happens is that the spirit world doesn't hear not Native American, they just hear the vibration of what it is that we're looking for. So that is a guide. It is not our job to determine what we get or we don't get. Why are most people in that particular field, Native Americans, nuns, they are people who understand. So if we talk about Native Americans just for a minute, they were people who lived on the earth world, who understood the ebbs and flow of life. They understood the natural law of the world. And so because of that, they had quite good levels of consciousness. Now, was there some Indians that probably didn't have a good level of consciousness? Yeah, probably, yeah. Nuns is another prime example. Was all nuns always good? Probably not. No, but most nuns understood the calling, understood the faith, a vibration. They understood that their purpose in life was to do for others and not for themselves. That's what. So if you understand, if you start to see the sort of trend building there, the guides are very much similar to that. They're there for the greater good of you. They're there for the greater purpose of you. So when people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have that," you don't get to dictate. It's entirely what the spirit world wants to give you. And like I say, I was like, I don't want one because that's what everybody was saying, and oh, it's bad, but have one of them and blah blah blah. And ultimately, I didn't get a choice. That was what I got, and that was what I had. So I couldn't really I wasn't going to turn that person away because that person had turned up. So it's be very mindful that just because you do maybe have a Native American or a monk or a Chinese person, that doesn't make it bad. That's what the spirit world have thought is in the best interest for you at this moment in your development. So don't get too carried away with that one or what others are saying, because what others are saying isn't always a true reflection of where you are within your development. Further to this, can you get normal people as guides? Yeah, normal people like me, normal people like you. Yeah, of course you can. There's no reason why you can't. As I say, guides come in a multitude of styles, shapes, sizes, a bit like us humans, comes in all shapes and sizes. The one thing, and I think I talked a little bit about this on a video, I think last week, was that some people are going to see guides as people, like you're looking at me on the screen. Some people's going to see guides as energy, which normally is going to have a colour tinge to it. And I do a coloured course about guides and evidence and such like things. So you're going to see this guide in different ways. A lot of yous on here are taught to look for people, because that's what everybody's doing. That's what everybody's telling everybody to do. My advice to you is if you are looking for guides in this area, don't get too caught up in the who, what, it's, and whys. Just put the intention in there and see what comes forward. Now, you might say, well, I don't trust myself, Danielle. Like, I don't believe myself. Oh, well, Danielle, what if I got it wrong? Well, what happens if I do this? What if I do that? Nothing in the spirit world is going to do you any harm. I'll guarantee you of that here and now. So even if that bit of energy, maybe isn't quite a guide, is more just a helper, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with helpers. Helpers are very, very helpful. Also, one of the things that I've done extensive knowledge with guides in the spirit world. What tends to happen with guides is there's people standing behind them guides. So they have their own team who support that guide while they support you. It may be that you just get one of them and you haven't quite getting the guide who comes forward. But that guide or that person or that energy is chosen to work with you. So it's important that you just go with what's given. I mean, I do have a guide section and I will pin it to the end of this one. But everybody keeps talking to me about guides and how you find guides and how do you know you've got the right guide. Use intention. And one of the tensions I have spoke about on here is my guide, my team of guides. Do guides change over years? Yep, they can do. Not necessarily all of the time, but guides do and have and will change if you are progressing, if you are learning the conscious levels and lessons and things that you're meant to be learning down here as a human. Everybody's down here learning. Whatever your learning experience is whatever it is that you're needing to learn. Everybody's learning progress is different. But your guides will change. Will they stay the same sometimes? Yeah, depending on the level of knowledge within that guide. When you understand guides in the spirit world, every guide's on its own journey as well. And some guides will always want to learn more. Some guides are quite comfortable and happy with where they've learned. Some just don't want to learn anymore. They're like, that's it. I've done enough of that. Thanks very much. I might decide to do some of that further, in a few years or whatever. But right now, I'm not sort of really interested in that. If you look at the comparison here, guides are very similar to the human world. There's not a lot of difference here, other than the fact that these guides have done extensive knowledge within the spirit world in order to support individuals in which that they choose to work with. And so for me, when people talk to me about guides, I see everybody getting very getting caught up in what they're meant to be looking for and what they're not meant to be looking for. You know, I'm only seeing people. I don't see energy. That's okay. That's the way you work. That's fine. You know, and also guides being used in the wrong way, which i.e. you're asking guides questions about the day-to-day life. That's not really a guide's purpose. In the early days, I can understand why everybody does that. I can appreciate all of them things because you're new, because you learn, you're trying to sort things out. You know, you want that proof on the guide. You know, I can understand all of them things. So, but as time goes on and as your development moves forward, you will be asked to ask less and less questions like that and ask more questions about the development. So when I talk to my guides, just an example, in the early days, I probably used to ask them how would the dem go. So, you know, as many of you on here may know, or not know, I platform mediumship in churches across the world, but also in the local area that I've worked with. So in the early days, they say, oh, how's that going to go, you know? Now a question I ask is how can I improve my development? See the difference? I'm more interested in the spiritual aspects of my development and how I support myself through the next stage of my learning in order so that I can bring that to you lot down here. So for me, my change in the way in which that I ask things have changed quite a lot over the last 12 years. For me, guides is a personal topic. It's a personal topic, but one that sometimes I see sometimes being misconstrued or just being sort of like people being pushed down one road when really guides is an open book road for me. And it's not one or box fits others here. It's all about your own personal development. Guides you can get in colours, you can get them in energy, you can get them in feeling, you can get them in knowing. And this is where I talk about really learning the basics of understanding your connection to the spirit world and developing that connection, developing them sense systems, them wrong. So that when you are working with the spirit, can you do communication without a guide? Yes. Yeah, sure, of course can. Why not? Can you progress forward in the spirit world without a guide? No, would be an answer to that question. No. And there's a few different reasons for that, but this is not the time for them like them answers. It's a little bit gets a little bit more complicated, and it's not, I don't think you can't understand that, but it's important that we just touch the basics for now, and then we can always grow and build on top of that. So no, you can't really do them things. No, that's correct. So for me, you know, when you learn to understand your development and understand your connection and where your connection is, you'll be able to pick up and work these prongs and then be able to support yourself in order to bring the guides forward. How do we get guides forward? I'm going to put a video selection at the end so you can check that one out. Another one you can do is try not to listen to the outside noise. Do you in this area, because that one of the things I will say about guides, it's a very personal relationship. So if any of you on here have husbands, partners, you know, whatever it may be, you'll understand the meaning of building that relationship with somebody from the very beginning when you're just getting to know them, right through to date nights, going out together, taking the relationship to the next level, to then building on that relationship for years onwards and understand the quirks and things that come with that relationship. Guide relationship is very similar. I have my students laugh at me. I often say to my students, you know, I have a relationship with a gentleman, but I don't cook his cheese. I don't pick his clothes up off the floor. I have all the perks, but without all of the all of the domesticated side that comes with relationships. So, you know, think of it more that way when you're working with guides, because when you understand how long it takes to build a human relationship, you can understand how it takes so long to build a guide relationship. And it's important that you just take your time in these areas. Just because of the people have got it all nailed down, and I said this before and I'll say it again, if we all had it nailed down, there'd be nothing to learn, you know. So everybody is learning something, and none of us in the industry have got it nailed down completely, because we're always learning something new. So we always can evolve and grow in these areas. So this idea that everybody's got it all panned out and knows exactly what they're doing is a little bit misconstrued and a little bit misleading as well. I like to touch upon topics that I feel is important for you, so that you don't feel like you need to be in a rush. You don't feel like you need to panic. And because as humans, when you're the first starting out, you're looking around and looking at lots of other people and thinking, well, why isn't that quite dropping in for me? Like, why am I not doing this? Why that? And you can actually get yourself really aggravated and upset because it looks like everybody's got it together. Again, very much like the human world. Make it look like everybody's got it together, but actually behind closed doors, it's a very different story. And mediumship's exactly the same. Just because it looks like it's got everything together doesn't mean to say that it is all together. And everybody's going through their own journey of their own things at their own time. So for guys, what I have to say to you is that learn to understand how you connect to the spirit world. Learn the terminologies. I'd like to meet my guide. Guided meditations are not really helpful here. You've heard my thoughts on them because you're not really working with the spirit world. You're working in the imagination and the psychic parameter. You're never going to find a guide in there. I've got to be honest. Can other people tell you who your guides are? No, nah. I can tell you there's an energy there. That's what I can tell you. But I can't tell you what that energy looks like because that's a personal experience. One of the things that we have to be very careful from as somebody who's a professional is that I'm not misleading people or leading people down to see something that I see when they see something very different. Also, it takes away the student's opportunity to learn and grow and to experience them things firsthand for themselves. I'm very much, I'll support you, but I'm not going to do it for you. I might be aware that there's somebody there, and I'm very aware probably what they look like in my perception of my reality. But it's not my job to tell you that, because if I tell you that, then you would be hunting around looking for an Indian, a monk, whatever it may be, when you could just actually have an ordinary person standing with you. So it's not my job as somebody who shares knowledge to pinch that experience from you. And I think it's important for you to learn them things. So it's important that when we're working with this connection, we're working with guides, take your time, learn how to understand how you connect so you know which way you're learning. Remember, you can get a guide as a picture, a word, a song, feelings, knowings. It can all come in different ways. Dreams, seeing guides. I've had students where guides have reported them in their dreams. I've had all of them things go on. So everybody's going to do this thing a little bit differently. How do you communicate with them? Like I'm sitting talking to you right now. Guides will help you to understand the symbols, the feelings, and all of the things that they're trying to get over. Watch for the repetitive. I think I've talked about this before. If you do and have got a guide, then what I would do is be watching your work and writing down what they're saying and watching for repeated words. One of the things that I find with guides is they'll use words that are not part of your vocabulary or not something that you use on a day-to-day basis. Some of the words might be quite big, or you might be like, oh, well, I don't want to use that word. That can be a good sign of a guide that you have somebody working with you who has a different level of intelligence. Intelligence or conscious basically means a heightened awareness. It just means that they're a little smarter than me and you, basically. That's all it means. It just means that they understand the natural flow of life. They understand the self-awareness and personal growth. They understand the mechanics and how the mechanics work. So when people talk about consciousness or they talk about evolution, and which words I've all used here on the channel, what they're really saying is we are just a touch smarter than you are, but they're not just a touch smarter. They are miles and miles smarter than us. Honestly, you've got no idea. If they're telling you things like, you're going to meet your man of your dreams tomorrow or things like that, that's probably more your imagination. That's not coming from a guide. Guides that cannot foretell nor will foretell that because it interferes with your free will. Remember, all of us down here have free will. We are all on a path that we must walk. If there's a path that we are walking that aren't ours to walk, then the guides may intervene there, yes, because it's not part of your journey, it's not part of your learning experience. But they can't tell you whether or not to walk that path. They cannot tell you to come off that path. It's not their job. They will always try to encourage you to go back to your path, but they can't push you there or tell you to go there. And so this misconception of guides are running your life is a real misconception. Guides just will not do that. It's just not their job. All they will do is watch over and wait and then help you clean up once you've made that blunder of mess of which you've made. And that's probably one of the beautiful things about guides. You may make a mess, you may not go up it, you might not quite get it right. We will teach and show you how to put it right and how not to do it next time. And so for me, I hope this helps some of my students. A lot of you who ask me questions, I can talk about the subject all day long. I've got to be honest, it's such an interesting topic and there's so much inside of it that I feel like I could be talking to you for days about this topic because there's so much information about them out there. and also that is available to you. Try to just take your time with this one. Whatever comes first is what you need. There's nothing in the spiritual that's going to do you any harm. I guarantee you of that one. And even if you haven't quite got your guide in place, the people who have approached, whether that be helpers, but also be guides from other teams, they're not going to do you any harm. You will find that they will support you until you get your people in place. Have fun with this one. One of the probably the biggest things I can say is open mind. Keep it open. Don't listen to what other people are saying. You just do you. Also, make sure you understand your connection, because if you don't understand your connection, you're going to struggle to find them. Make sure you're not sitting in that imagination and in that sort of psychic parameter. Take your time, and everything will work out for you in this area. All right. Have a beautiful weekend. You'll see me Tuesday, back Tuesday for another one. Let me know what you think about spiritual guides. Let me know if you've got yours in place. Let me know how things are working for you in them areas. And certainly, I'll get back to you next week, and we'll chat more about other topics to do with mediumship development. Like I say, have a great weekend. Big kisses, big hugs from me and the spirit world. Bye for now.